G'day everybody, my name is Elliot Waters and you're listening to the Dysregulated podcast. As always, thank you for tuning in. Okay, I've just got back from therapy, so I'm worn out. I'm going to do a quick little check-in just to tell you what's going on just before we hit Christmas. And hopefully after this episode will be my therapy reflections for the therapy session I just had, which was pretty important as far as his podcast is concerned because the podcast was a big part of the session. So in a good way, don't worry, I'm not getting rid of it. It's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. But that's coming, so my therapy reflections, the next one will be dropping soon. But right now I just want to do a little check-in just to give you a bit of an overview of what's going on, myself as well, to ensure that, everything's going good as we head into Christmas. Not everything's perfect because I tell you right now, I haven't had a good sleep in like a fortnight. It's been shocking. So I'm very tired. As a result, my mood is a bit brittle. Supposedly at work, they tell me, although I don't know if I believe them, that I'm a little bit irritable at the moment, which is definitely true. And I think most of that is because of lack of sleep. It's such a basic fundamental I talk about all the time. I just did a Black Dog webinar, and sleep was a huge part of what I was talking about. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to get much, which is really, really annoying. And I've doubled my Seroquel as well. Not always a good idea, but I have doubled my quetiapine dose from 100 to 200 just to try and knock me out. And eventually it works, but I don't know. I'm still up at like 11, 12, 1 a.m. The reason for that, though, is because we're coming into Christmas, and I work in retail. So that means our hours are being extended, which means I'm at work longer till later. And as a result, everything's getting shifted. And for someone like me who really needs, structure, routine, things saying the same, those fundamentals like sleep, eating and all this happening at the same time every day, even though it never happens, but that's what I need in a perfect world. At the moment, that's definitely not the case because I'm working later, getting home later, having a shower later, eating later, if I do even eat dinner. Sometimes I don't at the moment. Money's a bit tight, but also, there's complications, you could say, I guess, with my Vyvanse stimulant medication. I'm not eating as much, which is not good because I'm running out of energy, and then I'm getting irritable as well. Anyway, there's a cluster of things going on. I'm not going to go through them all in detail here now, but there's a cluster. So that the main thing is the fundamentals that I go on about all the time and try and lock in and know how important they are. At present, the fundamentals aren't looking great, but it's not all my fault because we are leading up to Christmas. It's a busy time of year. Everyone's a bit stressed out. It is all happening. But I am hoping this will be my last Christmas in retail. Surely this is it. No more. I don't want to do more after this. I already gave away the hospitality stuff over Christmas. It's time to do the same with retail. And I've made moves on that. My resume, don't know if I said, I probably did, or at least I should have. I sent my resume across to my boss at the uni to get it looked at and looked over and some feedback, and I got the feedback. It was great feedback. And as a result, I've I've redone the resume in a way that is probably more conducive to me getting a new job, which is good. And I've sent it off once. I've sent one off to a mob that's like the peak mental health body for the road transport industry. I won't say too much about that because I don't want to jinx it. Bit of OCD creeping in there. But the good news is, and what's exciting is the fact that I've actually sent it through. So I've had the impetus and the confidence to be like, no, let's send it because I reckon I could add value to these guys. And, I'm a valuable part of the workplace, or I can be at least. And I think I bring skills and all that sort of stuff, hard-earned knowledge. I don't know. I'm not going to read out my cover letter, but that's basically what it sort of talks about. So the good news is I haven't heard anything back, but it's just before Christmas. It wasn't really about getting a reply even. It was just about sending it. Just get it sent, because that in itself is a big sort of turning point, I guess. And it shows that the work in therapy has been working, because a lot of it has centered on getting the confidence in my own abilities to be able to launch into some new role that's got to do with mental health and maybe road transport, because that's one of my fixations. And I'm really trying to combine both if I can. But there's no way I can do any of that unless I have this confidence in my own abilities and that I do believe that I'm competent and I'm getting there. I wouldn't say I'm there completely. That was also spoken about today in therapy, which I'll go through in more detail later. But that's been one of the real big goals over the last couple of months really in therapy, is just to get to the point that I'm confident enough to send off the resume. Then we'll worry about what happens next later. That's down the track. But just getting to that position, that positive headspace to be able to do this. And I've done it, and that's great news. And I needed it too because, look, this retail year in Christmas is not my friend. As I said, I'm a little bit irritable, but I know that I'm making moves now to do something about it. Whereas before, I was hating on working in the job that not hating, but, not feeling fulfilled, but I also didn't have any sort of plans to change that. It's one thing to identify something that you don't like and you've got to actually come up with a plan to fix these things. And thankfully now I've got that plan, so I can think about that, when I'm way too socially overstressed and there's too much going on, I can think, hang on, but we've got a plan and we're actually putting the plan into progress. And that is very, very exciting, which it is because a lot of therapy has gone into getting into this point. Anyway, I'm drifting off a little bit. All the Black Dog presentations are done for the year, so I've done all the webinars. Next year, I'm looking at getting back on the road again, which will be very, very exciting. So travelling around probably regional New South Wales, doing these Black Dog presentations like I used to do. The webinars I do at the moment are webinars, so that means they're all online, but I would love to be able to engage with an actual audience and be face-to-face again. That's what I really, that's the stuff that really gets me going, because you can see in people's faces, when I go to the schools and stuff, whenever I bring up ADHD, you see all these eyes light up. Usually all these eyes are lighting up at people who weren't listening properly because they've got ADHD and their attention has gone somewhere else. But as soon as you say things, it's not just ADHD, but you say things that resonate with the audience, you can see it. You can see people's faces light up a bit, and it's like, all right, I'm going to keep honing that point because that's obviously important to this cohort of people. And I've missed doing that sort of stuff, being real flexible in my presentations and adapting them as I go to the audience's needs, wants and desires. So, I can't wait to get back stuck into that. And it will be good too because, you got to get out of your comfort zone. And doing these presentations is getting out of my comfort zone. And I haven't done it for a while. And that's not good. I need to get that confidence back, the public speaking and confidence in my story and the way that I convey it. That's the plan. So next year, still keep going with these webinars, but then definitely get back into the face-to-face stuff with Black Dog. And there's work with Every Mind as well. Every Mind, we're working on the Lived Experience Voices Mindframe project. That's going to be ongoing over the holidays. I'll tell you more about that when I know more myself. So Every Mind is wrapped up for the year as far as the Lived Experience Advisory Group goes. But of course, next year, there's plenty to get stuck into next year. It's very exciting. And the uni's the same. Everything's sort of on hold for now until next year. It's just all about just sort of not treading water, and that's the thing. I didn't want to tread water and just wait for the new year to happen. The fact that I sent my resume out and actually got it fixed and took on the feedback and redid it, that's not treading water. That is making steps to really hit the ground running next year, and that's the goal. Because I need some big changes, but to do the big changes, I need to do some big things. And part of it was get this resume sorted, accept the feedback and the positive criticisms and look at that as a gift and not as a slight on me, then be able to fix the resume up and then have the confidence to send it off. And who knows, maybe there's a new job waiting around the corner. Anyway, I've been waffling a bit because I'm so tired and that therapy session has taken it out of me in a big way. So hopefully that episode sort of made sense about what's going on. The moral of the story is, though, everything's sort of wrapping up for the end of the year. Officially, but behind the scenes, there's a lot of work to do. And the great news is I'm getting stuck into it, which is so exciting. All right. Thank you, everybody. I'll talk to you soon. I'll do that therapy reflections episode as soon as I can. I'll get that up for you because it was a pretty good one today. So stay tuned for that. And I'll see you next time here on the Dysregulated podcast.